So eBay has quietly changed categories and item specifics. And I want to talk to you about that on the other side. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And as I mentioned, eBay, effective today, the 16th of May, has changed item specifics on many categories, and they've even changed categories, moved categories. A lot of that affects like eBay Motors and maybe some collectible categories, but there's a lot of changes that have been made, and there's a lot of questions yet to be answered that we don't really know. eBay sent out an email to some sellers, and there's many sellers that never received this email, and as you're seeing it right here, it says we're updating our category structure and adding new item specifics. Starting May 16th, we'll be refreshing the structure of certain item categories and adding new item specifics to provide a more intuitive buying, selling, search experience. If you have listed these categories, they'll automatically move to the most relevant category. By making these changes, buyers will be able to discover your products quicker and easier, especially on mobile devices and by international buyers. With this launch, you may experience a change in fees, either an increase or decrease. You want to add new item specifics in impacted categories before May 16th to avoid any temporary disruptions as the changes launch. Now, I received this message at 10:03 a.m. on the 15th. Pacific time. That essentially means that they gave us less than a full day to start looking at our item specifics to make sure that everything is in order. I don't know, and this is the question that I have about these changes. I know that a lot of categories are being affected simply with just item specifics, and then some categories are being changed to where they no longer exist, or they're being renamed, or they're being moved into another category as part of another category. But and also you can check out the list down below. So here are the changes that have gone into effect today, the 16th of May. Now there's a lot of general changes, anywhere from new category, move from one category to another, renaming categories, moving and renaming categories, changing categories, but also anything that's been changed by way of even item specifics are going to be on here. You have anything from antiques, art, baby, books, magazines, business and industrial. You kind of keep going through. There's some that's clothing, cell phones, coins and paper money, collectibles. Scroll through some more. There's a lot of looks like a lot of collectibles here. Computers, tablets, and networking, consumer electronics, crafts, and it's pretty much the whole spectrum. I mean, you have entertainment, memorabilia. I mean, the list goes on, and many of these are just simple item-specific changes. But some of them, like they've created new categories for some collectible categories. Home and garden, here's the eBay Motors where they've made some new categories. They've changed or actually moved some of these into other categories. A lot of them are collectibles. You have your eBay Motors again. A lot of the changes that where they're moving things or moving things around within categories are affecting the eBay Motors. Again, moving from, so it just kind of explains where some of these changes came from. Some home and garden, a lot of eBay Motors again. Renaming categories, so you have some renaming of categories in collectibles, sports memorabilia, cards, toys, a lot of eBay Motors again. How about a moved and renamed? So not only did they move the category, but they renamed it as well. So you have that in a lot of eBay Motors on that. Again, change to is similar to move into, but they've just basically changed the entire category, and that affects some of the eBay Motors. And the retired categories, you have some categories that just don't exist anymore with collectibles and eBay Motors. The other categories, like I was telling you about, aren't necessarily changes to the category itself, but changes within the category. So we're talking about item specifics. And why is that important? Because if any of these categories have changed their item specifics, their required item specifics, then your item's not going to be shown if it's a required item specific that has been left blank, because they're now requiring you to fill out a value for something that was never there before. So you want to get in there and get into your listings and make sure that as many item specifics are filled out as possible, because there's a lot, as you can see, there's a lot of, I could just keep scrolling, and I'm going fast on purpose because this is a very large list, and there's just so many categories and changes within these categories that you can't just pinpoint it to eBay Motors or collectibles. It's going to affect most sellers. Maybe not all, but most sellers. So make sure you're getting in here to look at your listings just to make sure that everything's okay. And that could explain why some listings aren't being seen. What I don't know is we've experienced as sellers over the past 2-3 months at least a lot of glitches, a lot of system issues, a lot of error messages. And was that all a part of these changes? To me, it doesn't seem like this is something that eBay is going to be able to do just as a snap of a finger overnight. It seems to me that, yes, today is the day that they say it all takes effect, but makes me wonder if these changes were being made over that period of time, and thus we were experiencing bugs as a result of all their tinkering. In some cases, we were experiencing no sales for periods of time. Like really, literally, it would be like the switch was off, and then at one point, someone turned the floodgates on, and the sales would start pouring in. And so we tend to see only things that affect the selling side, unless you're buying on eBay. But it makes me wonder how many buyers were actually unable to buy our items during this process, thus explaining why a lot of us are dealing with really crickets and slow sales in our stores. I am very hopeful that as of today, that's all gone, that they've done all the work, and today is when it starts to where they've moved these categories, they've made the changes with the item specifics, and a lot of the errors that we saw, they're either being resolved or, so that they don't pop up again. And because they're not tinkering anymore, we're not going to be seeing new error messages or glitches. Let's just hope, because what happens when new programs are being developed, things are being changed, it tends to break other things. And that's, I believe, why we were seeing a lot of glitches all this time and a lot of inactivity, low traffic, low sales, because they were taking things down and changing things up and then putting things back online. Now, I see today has been pretty good start, getting a lot of offers and made a few sales already. So I'm pretty optimistic. To me, Tuesdays, Wednesdays are generally not the busiest time of the week to try to gauge anything. But based on previous days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are kind of slow anyway. So I'm pretty optimistic that these glitches and problems, at least a lot of them, are behind us. Now, caveat here, that's me being hopeful, okay? I am one to believe that with the site that eBay has given us, we are always going to experience problems here and there, and we're just going to have to learn to navigate through them instead of complaining and getting upset, calling eBay, wasting our time. If you do encounter these problems, of course, report them, and there's a way to do that. I have a video that I made on this before, but report the error. Even if you have to call in, spend 5 minutes. Don't spend all day. But collectively, as sellers, we can at least make eBay aware so that they can fix any glitches that come up. if they're important enough. It's just a simple error message that you're getting and you refresh and it goes away, then I wouldn't bother with it. But if it's something that's preventing you from getting something done, then it does need to be reported, even to a frontline rep who can then fill out a report and you're done. But here's to optimism. Here's to hoping that a lot of the stuff, a lot of the headache that we've had to deal with over the past couple months is mostly behind us. Can't always say 100% behind us, because that's given eBay a little too much credit, because this system is an old system and they're constantly patching things. I would just hope that at some point eBay finally figures out that here are the categories that are here to stay. Here are the ones that need to go. Here's the ones that need to be changed. Hopefully that's done now. I do realize as things, we get introduced to new technology, new things, new items, new type of items that are created over time, that new categories have to be created. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying leave the categories as they are. Stop tinkering, because every time you tinker with categories and also required item specifics, it affects our listings, and that's just a problem. The biggest takeaway and problem I have about this, though, is the absolute lack of communication from eBay. Knowing that we've been dealing with a lot of bugs and glitches, they could have come out and said, hey, look guys, we are currently in the background messing with the categories and item specifics. They can add their little fun lines of trying to create an intuitive shopping experience. But please, bear with us while we make these important changes, and you will encounter problems and some inactivity on your listings, periodically. But don't freak out. Don't call our call centers. Just know it's part of the process, and we're hoping to have something to you completed by the middle part of May, rather than wait until the 15th of May and say, you only have so much time before we launch this tomorrow to fix your listings and item specifics. And oh, by the way, we're only going to send this message to some sellers and not all. And this was in my eBay inbox and in my email. So, a lot of people on the live stream yesterday were saying they never received this message, which is why I was showing it to you guys, because I want to, not to make anything up. This is exactly what's happening. Want to know down below your thoughts on this topic. Are your sales looking like they've maybe come back today? I don't know if that's just me that's experiencing that. Hopefully we can maybe go into the summer slowdown without it being too bad. I mean, with all the glitches and all the server issues, if you want to call it, all the periods of time where we weren't getting any traffic or very low traffic numbers to our listings, that with the coupling of an impending summer slowdown, which always happens regardless of economy or eBay problems, it always happens year to year, wasn't giving me a very good outlook for the summer. But if eBay gets their act together, here's hoping to that, right? Maybe, just maybe, the summer won't be too bad. Hit that like button if you enjoy the content that I put out. Of course, subscribe to the channel. I'd certainly appreciate that. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers. That's pretty cool. And hit that notification bell so when we do a live on Mondays or Fridays, or when I put out a video out of the blue like this, you're going to be notified. Well, guys, it's time to be a little optimistic. I'm at least hopeful that today will be a start of fewer glitches and fewer problems. Yes, you still got work to do if you're affected by a lot of these categories. Get in there, make sure your item specifics are correct. But changes to websites, I mean, it's an eBay thing, guys. Don't see it on a lot of other sites like this. It's something we have to get used to, but yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your day. Get those sales, and we will talk to you very soon.